Hello everyone, we are ready now for Vocabulary Unit 19. And here we go. The first two words are closely related. One is actually a shorter form than the other, but to prate, they prated on and on until it was time to go. That means to talk foolishly. You might say somebody like Gonzalo at times seems to prate on and on and on, right? So to talk foolishly or to talk tediously. At times it does seem like as if Gonzalo is being very tedious when he's going on and on about how the garments are fresh and how it's a good island, etc. It's almost a bit of prattle, which is another way of saying babble. You know, going on and on. Foolish prattle. You could even say Antonio and Sebastian are guilty of foolish prattle behind Gonzalo's back. Precedent is something that precedes in time. Something which can be used as an example or as a model. Something that can be used as a guide for the future. Okay, you probably heard the word precinct in terms of police precincts or a fire department precinct. So a precinct is a district of a city or a town. Precept, this word came up in Act 2, I think it was, or was it Act 3, Scene 1? Act 3, Scene 1 of The Tempest, when Miranda says, "My father's precepts I do forget," when she has been giving her name to Ferdinand and talking to Ferdinand. A precept is a practical rule of conduct. She forgot or disobeyed Prospero's rule not to speak with Ferdinand. A precipice is a very steep cliff. To dangle from a precipice is to dangle from the cliff. When something is precise, it is accurate, it is exact. And someone's predecessor is a person who held a job or an office before. Or the current one. So you want to live up to the rules of your predecessor, or you want to be better than your predecessor, perhaps. At times, Trinculo and Stefano might find themselves in a predicament. A predicament is a difficult or embarrassing situation. The next word is pronounced prelate, and a prelate is a bishop or some other ecclesiastical position. Premeditate. Pre means come before, meditate means to think about. So premeditated means planned beforehand. We think about Cask of Amontillado, and his murder plan was premeditated. It was planned out beforehand. If a suggestion or a solution is preposterous, it is absurd. It is ridiculous. At times, the situations in Candide are absolutely preposterous. And if someone says, "I don't know, it's up to you, it's your prerogative," it means that it's your right or it's your privilege or your idea. You know, it's your prerogative. It's exclusive to your class or to your individual perspective. To presage is to predict or to portend. The soothsayers in Oedipus and in the Iliad try to presage the future. Prescience, you could think of Prospero. Prescience is the act or the ability of to know something in advance. By my prescience, he says, I must act now, or forever my fortunes will fall. The fact of knowing something before it takes place. And the last one for this slide, when someone is presumptuous, they are brazen, they are bold, they are arrogant. It might be somewhat presumptuous of Stefano to think that he can actually be a king. It's a person who fails to observe the limits of what is appropriate. And now for the last slide, under the pretext of visiting someone, he was able to get out of work early, even though it wasn't necessarily true. A pretext is an excuse or a false reason. A purveyor is a fancy word for someone who is a seller or a vendor. There are purveyors at flea markets. To quaff is to drink, usually to drink with a lot of enthusiasm. To quaff a good deal of alcohol, as Stefano does. A quagmire is a swamp. At times you'll find in the Tempest, Trinculo and Stefano will be mired in a swamp or a quagmire. They'll fall into one. Maybe not fall, well, they'll fall into it, but it'll be on purpose from Ariel. When something is quaint, it is charming. A house can be quaint. A conversation, a place can be quaint. At times, Prospero actually says, my quaint Ariel. Charming, attractive, sort of, sweet. To quell someone's anger is to quiet it. To quiet their anger, to put it down, to calm it. You're going to quench someone's thirst, or you have to quench your own thirst. It means to satisfy your thirst. Right? And if you're the quintessence of intelligence, it means you are the purest and highest example of. You are the epitome. That's another good word. The paragon. There's another word. Okay, Miranda is the quintessence of innocence. Okay, there you have it. Vocab Unit 19.